All right, we are live. Going to talk some Star Wars today. You got me. You got my buddy Josh Nelson from Sox Machine. Uh, this is a great pregame for you if you're going to watch the Sox because there's the only thing more devastating than watching the Sox is watching the absolute massacre that went on in these episodes. So excited to talk through these because these were some great episodes, Josh. But just off the top, what are your main thoughts on this?
You can go to imdb.com and the thousands upon thousands of ratings. Who Are You, which is episode 8, which is the episode 2 of this 3-episode arc, the Gorman riot. I guess you can call it the Gorman Massacre Part 2, has a 9.8 out of 10 rating, Chorizy. Like the most classic, well-known TV episodes of all time struggle to have that type of rating. And then the following episode, Welcome to the Rebellion, Mon Mothma, part 1 of her escape. The Star Wars nerds like you and I know what happens when she finally escapes Coruscant. That episode is in season 3. I think it's called Secret Cargo of Star Wars Rebels. So if you want to watch the second part of how Mon Mothma gets out of Coruscant, that's also a great episode. That's part of the animated series Star Wars Rebels. To your point, this is very intense. And we heard from those that watched all the episodes from the beginning, all of the TV journalists, that this series keeps getting better and better with every 3-episode arc. I don't know how episodes 10, 11, and 12 beat this 3-episode arc, Chorizy. Because if they do... top 10 TV show ever. Like we are strangely in television greatness debate now of a concept that many people question, including myself from the very beginning, of why does Cassian Andor need his own TV series? They are absolutely crushing it right now. I love these episodes. How about you, Chorizy?
Yeah, I'm with you. And I do think it's going to be tough for them to match these 3 in the last 3. I think most series are like that, right? Because you were really kind of you climax in this like going up to the end, and then the finale has to kind of resolve everything. And so it's always tough to stick the landing. So I'm excited to see what they do. The good thing is we know how this story ends, right? Like we know where they're getting to. Like episode 12 is supposed to lead us right to the point that we're going to see Rogue One, right? Like, so I think that we already know that where it goes. So I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, I can't believe that happened. But I do think that there's a lot of weird little loose ends to tie up. And I think those are going to be very interesting in these upcoming episodes. And let's get into these episodes, though, and that'll lead us to kind of what we expect to happen next. And so the first thing I want to talk with you about, Josh, because there was a strange scene within this, and it's this force healer scene. So Cassian has the burn on his back. He's not healing. Bix takes him to the force healer that's on the base. And the interesting thing here is that like there's no chance for kind of the trickery of a force healer, right? Like or like a force user that's just kind of like shady, like we see in Obi-Wan, right? Like that's a that kind of character. And there's like this whole interaction about him being a messenger and things. And to me, I liked some of it. I disliked a little bit of it. Like it made me feel a little bit too much like Starbuck in I'm blanking on the name of the show now. But where you don't really know, is she alive? Is she dead? Or Jon Snow is a good example too. Like this person are they alive or dead? Or like what is there like an angel or what's going on? And it had those vibes, which I didn't really like, but I do think that it helped the character arc. Now, do you think this was more necessary for Cassian's character arc or for Bix's?
I think Bix. And I guess we can get to the end. Like Bix ultimately leaves Cassian, because if it's between a life in solitude of trying to live out and build a relationship with Cassian Andor, or helping the rebellion win, Bix made her decision. But she needs to know that Castian is not going to be left behind, I guess. So to understand that he has a greater purpose than what he is currently serving, I think helps in Bix's decision making. This healer is obviously force sensitive, but never trained as a Jedi. I think this is also important for Tony Gilroy as far as continuity, because obviously in Rogue One, our friend with the stick that can kill stormtroopers is also very force sensitive. And I think it just shows another type of person. You don't have to be a Jedi to be force sensitive in the Star Wars universe. I think this is another example of it. But like this vision, obviously Cassian doesn't care about it, and he walks away from it completely. So that's why I think it's more important for Bix. Do you agree with that? Like, does this?
Yeah, I think the
combination convince Bix, and ultimately what she decides to do at the end of episode 9.
The combination of this and the meeting with Vel, I think sealed it for her. That like she's the thing holding Cassian back, and I like the way that they paid that off, because I think, and we talked about this after the first 3 episodes when we thought, oh man, Bix is gonna just lose her mind, and Cassian's going to have to make the tough choice at some point. But he doesn't have to. He does protect her as long as he can. She gets to that point where she's back healthy, and she knows that he'll do anything to protect her. And I think these 2 pieces here made her realize the only way that she can get Cassian to like his full potential and for the rebellion to win is for her to walk away. And so I think that, I think there's a lot of heartbreak in this episode, or these episodes, I should say. And this is one of them. And I think Bix's character, I was not expecting it to end like this. I think we all, I mean, I wrote about it before the thing started. I'm like, Bix definitely going to die. Like we don't see her or anything. She's definitely dead. And that's part of this. I think part of what's great about this show is that, like, even though we should know everything that's happening, we are surprised kind of constantly by what's going on. And so I did, other than the Battlestar Galactica like parallel that I made in my own brain, which is just me doing that. I think overall, I do like this kind of help, like nudging her along the way, the Force kind of nudging this situation towards where it needs to go. And we see that further in Rogue One, right? And you nailed it with the characters that are the guardians of the will. I forget the planet, because the planet blew up, so I don't care. It's gone. But speaking of heartbreak, speaking of heartbreak, Josh, Cyril's heart is broken in this episode. We thought it would be by Dedra, but no. The heartbreaking scene for Cyril, the Ralph Wiggum clenching his chest, the Don Draper saying, "I don't ever even think about you," kind of situation. That is with Cassian when he's like got Cassian in his sights. He's gonna kill him. He wants Cassian to know, "You ruined my life." And Cassian gives the Thanos, "I don't even know who you are." And the heartbreak, Josh, the heartbreak. What did you think about that scene? And what did you think about just like the character arc of Cyril to the culmination here?
I don't know. Okay, so I think it's him at that moment before deciding if he's going to kill Cassian or not. When Cassian asks, "Who are you?" Very meta inner thought of, who am I actually? Because I no longer on the side of the Empire, because I am completely against what's happening in Palma. But before he could even finish his thought, the Gorman front leader finishes it for him by shooting him in the face.
Cleared his mind.
Cleared his mind. So Cyril doesn't have to worry about that. But like even before then, when he was in the base and his confrontation with Dedra, domestic abuse there, like choking her. I thought he was going to kill her. And then that would have ended him real fast.
Yeah.
But deciding to let go. And I don't know why like Deidre would still stay with Cyril. I thought she would apprehend him, but still in love. And maybe she knows he did him wrong, but still doesn't excuse like trying to choke the life out of her. And then he just walks into the plaza and he get this like Saving Private Ryan Omaha Beach type of scene where he's just like nobody's hitting him. A bolt magically is not striking him, but he's just watching all these people fall to their deaths. And that's the way I took it, is in like, who are you? And even though like immediately he's attacking Cassian Andor because that was his primary mission. But before he gets shot in the face, maybe he has that moment of clarity of, I don't know who I am. And I don't know what I'm doing. Too late, you're dead.
I really like that take.
I really like that take.
I didn't think about it that way. And I do like that, I did wonder why he took that moment and like started to lower his weapon. And I think you're right. Like that, right. It kind of dawned upon him, like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, why am I even trying to do this? And great scene. I mean, I think Cyril's character is heartbreaking, but it's kind of a character that you can look at and go, yeah, I get it. Like he thought he was the good guy. I think that's laced throughout these movies and these shows, is that even the bad guys think they're the good guys, right? They think that this is for the greater good. And he's being lied to. Dedra's being lied to, right? Like it ladders up, because Dedra is supposed to be doing this for this energy initiative. Like this is the big energy initiative. The energy initiative is the Death Star, right? Like they're trying to destroy this planet so that they could make a weapon to destroy planets. It's insane. And I think that's the kind of thing, though. She has no idea that's what it is. Cyril has no idea that they're trying to just rip minerals from the ground in Gorman. I do think, though, what was interesting, there's some nice little Easter eggs in this, right? I mean, like the rebellions are built on hope from the clerk. That's really good. The one that I really liked, and we'll get into this because we're going to start talking about the Gorman massacre now, is when they're leading up to the fact that they're going to do this. Pendergrass, I think that's how you say his name, mentions that they were trying, like Krennic's been trying to get this artificial calcite, and his scientists on Edu just can't do it. And I thought that was really interesting, because that's Galen Erso trying to stall. So he's saying, no, we can't do this. We can't do this. And not realizing that he is in turn sentencing Gorman to death. Right. So he has no idea that that's the case, but he's trying to stall as much as he can. And like, just that little mention gives us that Easter egg. And I really like that, because it's just one of those things where it's like, you don't realize the implications of all the things that you're doing. And that's kind of the course of Galen Erso's poor life. And so like, that's a really good lead into Rogue One, but also a lead into the Gorman massacre, which I will say, this is probably the best the Empire's evil moment that I've seen. I don't know, Josh, do you agree? Because like how calculated it is. And it's not like just the Emperor doing it, right? Because the Emperor is like the most evil person in the galaxy, and that's whatever. But this is truly like people going, we are going to just decimate a planet, and we're going to do it under false pretense. And is this the most evil you've seen in the Empire?
By far, because even though the Gorman front leader notices right away that this is a trap, even Cassian from the hotel can see that they're barricading themselves. This is a trap to lure in as many people as possible to, this concept is send out the, Yeah, and that's even part. It adds even more to the evilness. They completely sacrificed their own. They completely sacrificed one of their own squads. Very green, inexperienced rookies pushing those soldiers into the middle, knowing that they will panic, and in their panic, do something dumb to create the riot. And once the riot begins and one of those soldiers dies, then it's game on, right? Then it's like literally shooting fish in a barrel. All the poor Gormans are in the bottom of the barrel, and you got stormtroopers lined up everywhere, blocking the exits. And it's so well done. There's a lot of real life examples in using this type of technique. Lethal, even non-lethal. We live in Chicago. The Chicago riots a few years ago, when all of the protesters were making their way to the River North neighborhood, Mayor then, Lori Lightfoot, raised the bridges. You couldn't get across the other side of the river. So if you were protesting and you cross the river, now you're stuck. There's really no way for you to get back over. And that's a very scary situation. And yes, it could be a very effective means to squash a riot. But that's the part of the evilness for the Empire. They wanted this, Chorizy. They created this. And to pull this off, and it even made Deidre like shake and like visibly shake and what was transpiring. I maybe still blowing up Alderaan just to prove a point to Princess Leia is still the most evil thing the Empire has ever done. But this is definitely at least number 2 or 1B.
Yeah, I think to me it's in the realm because this is a coordinated effort amongst a bunch of people. Right, like the Alderaan thing is kind of just Tarkin being insane, which he is, and so we already know that
Tarkin is easily the third most evil person in Star Wars, behind Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader.
I would argue the second. Because I think Vader at least thinks he's doing good things. Like he thinks that he has some reason to do these things, both the Emperor and Tarkin. And I would highly recommend the Tarkin book because it just even gives you more depth of what a maniac he is and how smart he is. But I think like Thrawn and Vader are slightly different because they do think they're good guys in some respect. We got to drink from our guy Yump here. He says, love the show and breakdown, gents. Cheers, Yump. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I got another question on the Gorman piece. This one's a little more fun. Wilman, this is the second time horniness has got him almost murdered. Josh, is this how he's going to go down? I mean, like, he's not in great shape right now, but like what's the next line of horniness for him to get drawn into and almost get killed?
That's a great question. How did he, first of all, like, how did he get away from Saw?
Yeah, Drina
Guerrero.
Oh, that's still a question. Like, I think that's still an open
away question. That's the question, right? Or is he Saw's plant?
Well,
like,
Josh, that opens up a new question for me that I was going to ask you towards the end, but let's get into it right now. The one thing we didn't see in these 3 episodes was Saw. And we see them on Yavin, and we know that a year from now, the two groups are completely disconnected and Saw is out of his mind. But are they still connected right now? Are we going to see what breaks that apart, or are we at least going to get a reference to it? And where does Wilman stand on it?
I think Wilman and Cassian are going to split, right? Because we need a scene in the upcoming episodes where Wilman finds out that Bix leaves. Now, what would be wild, absolutely wild, is if Bix joins Saw Gerrera and Wilman is the one that recruits her to join Saw. and Saw is just too aggressive, because I think we just got a cameo right now of Saw Gerrera. We need to display just how ruthless some rebel cells are. Not everyone's like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa. Calculated, planning, looking to build alliances, looking to grow. Saw's not interested to grow. He is interested in absolute chaos. So I'm wondering if that's going to be upcoming. And it does make sense because Saw is a lot smarter than what he appears as far as his decision making. A lot of people think he's erratic. By having Willman being a plant Chorizy, I wonder if the show writers are like, Willman's responsibility is to assist, but then report back to Saw and what you did. So if this is what Mon Mothma and the Rebel Alliance is doing, I'm going to go in the other direction. So I'm not facing the full brutal force of the Empire, if that makes sense. I'll pick the battles that I can win.
Because it's very unclear at this point who Willman is aligned to. Now, obviously, he loves Cassian and Bix, right? Like that's his family, right? Like that's for sure. But it doesn't seem that he has any allegiance to the rebels on Yavin. We know he has an allegiance to Luthen, and we know he has an allegiance.
He never reported in, did he? Did he report in Yavin? The way they shot that.
No, they just leave.
3-episode arc. Yeah, he just leaves the ship, goes directly to their hut. Yeah,
he goes to the hut, and from the hut they go to the ship to go to Gorman. So he was strictly there to go to Gorman, which was Luthen's plan. So he was under Luthen's guidance there. But who knows? Who knows what was behind the scenes?
So maybe he's not. Wait.
But it doesn't
happen in the year.
It's not clear. It's not clear who he's working for. Like, because he's doing that on behalf of Luthen, but is he really doing that on behalf of Saw? Right. Like, and so I think that's something we're gonna have to find out in these last episodes, like what is going on with Willman. And now he's got Drina with him, who's from the Gorman front, the last member, from what I can tell. So it's a lot going on there. Speaking of a lot going on, a character that was minor in the first season, but has really rose to prominence in these last few episodes, and he's not even in these episodes, is Lonnie. So I think one thing that they did a good job of in this episode to kind of keep you on your toes about was, if you weren't paying attention, I think a lot of people know Lonnie as Lonnie, not Lonnie Young. And so when they're saying Young's agent is the one that's infiltrated Bale's group, well, this is how Luthen knows, right? Like, so Lonnie has given yet another extremely important piece of information to Luthen. And he's just not around that day, right? Like his agent is executing this. He's just not around. So my question is this what finally gets him busted? He's playing both sides, and it seems impossible. He's like the highest ranking person that's doing that. Is this where he goes down? Is this what takes Luthen down?
Yeah, if Lonnie goes down, I think Luthen goes down, right? And then Luthen is going to have some type of chase scene at Coruscant. Do you think Luthen gets off Coruscant?
I don't know. I'm hesitant to say no, because I would have thought all these people are going to die in this show. That's proven to not be the case. I mean, if you want my crazy theory on Lonnie, I would say that he throws the whole scent off of him onto someone else, preferably Dedra, but I think that would be tough. But I think a different ISB agent takes it for Lonnie.
Yeah, the one that is actually running the Axis.
Yeah,
I forgot which ISB agent. Okay, I could see that framing a fellow ISB agent, and thus, if ISB agents are helping the rebellion, then in a way, Lonnie would be taking down the entire ISB department, because right now there's growing confidence in their ability. But as soon as they are helping the rebels, the Emperor will completely shut down that program. Okay, I like this. I like this angle. So even though Lonnie probably dies and gets ratted out as a mole, it ultimately he wins because the department gets shut down. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like, I'm interested to see how this plays out, because they have to be questioning him at this point, where it's like, okay, first the Dr. Gorst's whole thing blows up right after we told you where it was going to be, and now your agent was found out immediately. Although they play that one pretty well. Like it does look like, she just botched the arrest. So very interesting to see what happens with Lonnie. The other thing that could be with Lonnie is that he doesn't get busted, and he's the source that tells them about the Death Star, because someone's got to get this information out to them, right? Not necessarily that it's the Death Star or that it's a planet killer, but at least that they're building this like massive weapon, because they know about it going into Rogue One. They don't know exactly what it is, but they know that it exists.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to ponder about that one. But yeah, we're going to see some Lonnie. I think we're going to see the destabilization of the ISB department and what happens and how everybody turns on one another to save their skin and their rank and their status within the Empire, right? I think we're going to see a lot of finger pointing moving forward, because it's supposed to be another year, right? We're moving another year forward.
A year going a year ahead. So we'll be right before everything that happened. I mean, I'm guessing we're jumping to about let me think about that. It would be 3 or 4 days maybe.
Okay, so
before the battle of Yavin.
So okay, so are we making our predictions what happens a year?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a minute.
I have to think about, I can say, based on this conversation, I may be changing some of my predictions, but
I do want to talk about Mon Mothma's speech and escape and just get your general thoughts on that, because the speech was incredible.
Yeah, the way that it was set up, and Benjamin Bratt, fantastic acting job. You nailed it. I can't tell a difference between the way that he presents and acts the character of Bail Organa and Jimmy Smits. Very calculated, very cerebral. Yeah, they look different and their accents are different, but the mannerisms and the pacing, spot on. So excellent acting by Benjamin Bratt. Tough, right? Because Jimmy Smits has been Bail Organa since the prequels. Like, we're talking a very long time that Jimmy Smits has had this role, and Benjamin Bratt was able to step in very nicely and pinch hit and delivered. I'd still like to see Jimmy Smits return as Bail Organa. Hopefully the shooting schedules allow that to happen, but Benjamin Bratt did a very good job. But yeah, I love the way that they set up in the Senate, because it's like the first few senators are showing their allegiance to the Emperor and denouncing what happened in Gorman. It is their fault. It's not the Empire's fault. We must protect our own. And Mon Mothma comes in and makes a very bold claim that the Emperor is the monster and is the one that orchestrated what happened in Gorman. And then it just got really intense. Like, she's going to get apprehended. You got to be able to escape. And I just love on how everything and the pacing, and nobody can trust one another, not even Mon Mothma. She doesn't know who to trust. She just needs to stay alive, and hoping that she is in good hands with Cassian Andor and the guy that she just fired, Erskine, because she couldn't trust him, because Erskine was one of Luthen's guys. So I just love on how nobody can trust one another, the chaos that ensued after that speech. But it was brilliantly delivered. And again, right now on IMDb.com, this episode's got a 9.8 rating. And when you go to Star Wars Rebels and you watch Secret Cargo in episode 3, live action, animated, many years apart, different writers, different showrunners, Chorizy, and it still flows incredibly well. So this was a brilliant job by Tony Gilroy, being able to pull this particular piece of continuity off.
There was one great piece in keeping the continuity that I loved. Obviously they don't mention the initial escape with Cassian in Rebels, and they don't. Then they go, okay, Cassian, you're not gonna take her on. Gold Squadron's gonna take her on, and they said they want to rewrite it, and I was like, I'm glad they just put it in there. Like, yeah, we're just gonna rewrite this, and like, because they're retconning a piece of it, right? And like they're being very obvious about what they're doing to people who are watching the show, and I really liked that little Easter egg for people who've watched a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
One thing that I really enjoyed about the escape was that Mon Mothma is completely unprepared for the level of violence that's about to happen.
Yes.
And it would have felt unnatural if she wasn't. Like if she was just like rolling with all the punches and doing all this and totally prepared for this insane scene, it would have looked bad. It would have looked I don't think we would have enjoyed it as much. But like when Cassian starts yelling, Cloris, we found her, and then just shoots him. Her reaction was tremendous because anyone in that situation should react exactly like her. Even though she knows she's being rescued, she should be shocked by what is happening. And I was really glad that they did that, because like that's how it should look. That's what it should be like if this were happening. So I really enjoyed that piece of it.
Josh, and as far as continuity, if you go and when you rewatch that episode, Secret Cargo, Mon Mothma and Harrison Dula have a conversation in the cockpit of Ghost. And in that conversation, Mon Mothma admits that she could not win the battle on the Senate floor. And Hera admitted to her, life's not much better on the front line. We got a lot more at stake than you did on the Senate floor. And Mon Mothma said, it's all about life and death now. So it's this whole progression, accepting that, yes, in order for the rebels to win, they're going to have to crack a few eggs, as Joker would say in Batman, in order to make that omelet of freedom. But I'm with you, Chorizy, like well acted. And that's the way it should be. If you've never killed anyone or seen anyone killed, you are going to react like everybody else. You're going to want to go in the fetal position and keep your head down, even though you're being saved because Cassian's the one that needs to kill.
Yeah. And I want to dig in just one level deeper there in the fact that I think this episode, the last couple episodes, really changed the view of Luthen. And Luthen's one that we've been going back and forth on. Like, is he good? Is he bad? Like, you could still blame a lot of the Gorman massacre on him, right? Like he was the one that was like, yes, we should prop this up and we should see what happens. And this, if it blows up, that's going to be good for us. When he's right in the end that was helpful to the rebellion overall. But also in this, you start to see how much he's protecting Mon. And she gets to start to see how much all these people like Erskine, who she fires and then comes back to save her life, how Cassian was living, where, you know, she goes to the safe house and he's like, yeah, I used to live here. Right. Like, and she's seeing Clea in this different role. It's not chess pieces anymore. It's you're on the board. You're in there. And I think that this has built us up to a point where we're like, man, Luthen was really important. Luthen's doing a lot of good for the rebellion, which makes me think he is going to do something atrocious in these last episodes. Like, I think, like, is he going to murder Lonnie? Is he going to do something that, like, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this dude did that? I still don't know if he was good or bad. Like, I kind of feel that coming.
See, Luthen to me has always been good, but Luthen is trying to play the same game that the Empire is doing, right?
Right.
You want to massacre Gorman? Go ahead, because for you think getting rid of all these people that are weak makes it a lot easier for you to strip the planet of its resources. It's a great example for me to recruit more planets, not factions, not people, whole systems to be on my side to fight against you. So I think that's where Luthen is like trying to fight fire with fire, which is a strategy that Mon Mothma clearly is not on the same team during this process. Maybe you could make the argument she definitely is in Rogue One or has no choice. But yeah, I'm curious in what Luthen ultimately does, because Chorizy, he's not going out quiet. He's not being assassinated. The only cool thing that we have not seen, and I don't think we're going to, but I think it'd be pretty badass, is they don't send ISB after Luthen. They send an Inquisitor. after Luthen. Like that would be awesome.
That would be excellent. That would be excellent. I don't know that we'll get it, but that would be pretty crazy. Josh, what is next in the show? What are you expecting in these last 3 episodes? Any big cameos? Any big scenes that were any big deaths that you're expecting?
Well, K2SO, baby. Let's go.
So let me ask you a question about that. Bix is gone.
Yeah.
Right?
No, Cassian's not having sex with K2SO, Chorizy.
I'm not going there. I'm thinking more when they in Endgame when they go find Thor and he's like playing video games and he's all fat. Is that what we find K2SO and Cassian? They're living in that hut now, and it's just like some wild party scene.
No, I don't see that. I don't know what Cassian does.
They've got a bond.
They do have to bond, but I don't like what's happening on Yavin and with Cassian. No idea. Like I am completely an open book, but I am very curious on what happens on Coruscant and those that are left behind, because Bail Organa is going to have to escape Coruscant because I'm sure eyes will be drawn to him and what's been going on Alderaan. So that's where I'm focusing a lot on. So we're going to see another escape. We're going to see more episodes with Bail Organa. And does he call any friends to help him out? Is that the cameo that we get? It would blow up the internet. Chorizy, man, it would warm up a lot of Star Wars hearts if out of the blue, Tony Gilroy's like, all right, you get one incredibly famous Star Wars character to bring into this canon. Who are you bringing in? And he decides that it's Ahsoka Tano. Like everyone would be ecstatic if Ahsoka's the one that helps Bail Organa get off Coruscant. That would be phenomenal. Let's go with it. That'll be my prediction. We're going to see Ahsoka.
Okay. I don't want to see Bail escape off screen. That's something that I really don't.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Like I don't want him to just be there and then they're like, "Hey, he got out." The one that I am hoping for is actually to see Galen Erso helping the pilot get off of Edu and take the message. I want to. I think that would be a pretty powerful scene to see him record the message. And for some reason, I think that Dedra is going to be attached to Krennic after this, which should be also interesting. I think that'll be a strange partnership that we're going to see through the last couple episodes. I think that he probably will take great interest in her after what happened there.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's going to happen. And then I also am like really anxious to find out who leaks the Death Star information. From the trailer, it's Clea who gets it because Clea says something about the weapon to Cassian. So I think that that's where that's the receiver of it, but I want to know who's passing that information. Hopefully it's Lonnie. Hopefully Lonnie lives, but probably not.
No,
we'll see what happens with him. But I think that these next 3 episodes, other than the Death Star information, it's going to be very violent. I think the fighting is going to start to really ratchet up. I think the fact that everybody knows what Rebels look like by the time Rogue One happens, the fighting has been going. Like the war is on. Bail is out because Bail feels they're ready. So I think we start maybe with Bail getting himself out of there.
Is there a Valkyrie attempt? There's already been multiple references to Nazi Germany and World War II in this show. Is there a Valkyrie attempt from the ISB agents?
Oh, I don't know. That would be interesting. That'd be interesting, but
Does Deidre find out what the energy program actually is, and she's the one that leaks the information?
I would like that. I would like that a lot. I think that the thing that I really need to go and look back at is like in the movies, in the Star Wars movies, in that time frame, is the ISB really active, or is it just kind of Colonel Yularen at that point, and like they're all gone? So
yeah.
I know that we talked about this last week, is that the interrogation thing is not existent. They have those droids. So like there's a change of guard or something, at least for some of this. So I am interested to see where this all lands with that. And I think that you're right that the leak could very well be Dedra, and something's going on with her. So I mean, like, she is finally realizing that what she does is horrible. I don't know. I thought she was aware of this the whole time. But yeah, it seems like there might be some realization there. We'll see. This might only entrench her further. So I'm excited for these next three. I think it's going to be incredible television. It's been tremendous so far.
Yes.
But until then, Josh, we will probably see each other at some Sox games and whatnot. And then we'll talk to all of you next week after the show. Thanks, everyone.